Hi, I'm Sandy with NLightning, and I'm here with my partner Brett.
Hey, how you doing, Sandy?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Are you still based in the sunshine in Florida?
Yes, yeah, I guess you could call it that. Yeah, blue skies, sunny blue skies. It's cooling off a little bit, so it's actually pleasant now
Nice,
instead
nice.
of unbearable.
We've got some nice sunshine today,
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah, it's mostly been raining and cold.
Mm, mm.
So there we go.
And dark,
Yeah, yeah,
getting dark.
absolutely. Fantastic. So what have you been up to?
Well, a couple things. I mean, it's been a little while, I think, since we did one of these. I went to the Power Platform conference in Orlando. I don't think we talked since then, and that was really enjoyable. It was quite a large conference, actually. I think I heard 3,700 attendees,
Oh wow.
and yeah, and lots of speakers from Microsoft. I mean, it was actually called the Microsoft Power Platform Conference. So I think, although it wasn't exactly run by them. They were the main
Hmm.
sponsor or instigator, and held in a fancy hotel in Orlando and and that sort of thing. Um, so not really a community-based conference, which I kind of tend to prefer, but still very valuable sessions and people, attendees and speakers from globally, and but all about Power Platform only. So
Hmm.
nothing really about any of the other Microsoft tools and products. So yeah, pretty interesting to see. I mean, I guess to confirm the amount of interest that there is in Power Platform, which is huge these days.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's grown tremendously, isn't it? Absolutely
Mm-hmm,
right.
hmm.
Fantastic. Good stuff.
How about you?
And yeah, so I've besides the norm, just mostly been focused on Microsoft Viva. So
Mm,
there's been a lot of news around Microsoft Viva, obviously launching some new modules and improving some of the existing modules as well. But yeah, it's going really well. We've implemented it internally at Lightning Tools. And making good use of Viva Connect
mm,
in terms of communicating the company vision to everybody and getting everybody on board with that.
mm,
We've actually also done some work in some of the Lightning Tools products as well to expose the information out of things like Social Squared into
right.
adaptive cards in Viva
Mm,
Connect. So that's been really good.
mhm.
And also, yeah, using Viva Learning for learning. So that's been great. Also using Viva Insights, I think mostly from a personal perspective so far,
Mhm,
but certainly uh, gaining more awareness for the manager insights and the organizational insights as well, or leadership
mhm,
insights. So yeah, that's something that we've been working on and progressing with. But yeah, mostly Viva goals and
mm,
yeah, implementing those goals that are aligning with people's values and the company values and the company direction too. So
mm,
so it's been yeah, quite a learning curve. It's great to be able to dedicate some time to some of that technology also.
mhm. Yeah, I think it's especially important, and people might not necessarily think about it that way with the Viva goals that we're being encouraged to create goals that align with our personal values too,
Yeah.
not just like monetary KPIs or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that's been a big shift for me over the years is that when you work for a company, you're not just showing up and doing a 9 to 5 job and you know
Well, some
leaving your
people are,
personal
I
life
guess.
behind. Yeah, there is a blend now of
Mhm,
working and your personal life. That
mhm,
we all have a mobile phone. There's emails coming through all the time, and although we Viva Insights will highlight this. We don't want to be working on our phones all the time.
mhm,
We should be aware of all of that stuff, but um, it's true that we have to enjoy what we're doing, and the only real way of enjoying what we're doing is if it aligns with our personal values and the things that we love to do, and whether it's serving them, not just in
mhm,
line with them. So, maybe if as a result of all the hours you put into NLightning or Lightning tools, it's giving us value, and
mhm,
that might be flexibility or having the ability to spend time with family or take children to school, doing things that you may not ordinarily be able to do if you had a commute into a city every day or something like that.
Mhm.
So it's recognizing that this is in alignment with what you need, and even down to exercising and things like that. It's a great stress reliever to go and exercise. It's great to be able
Mhm.
to look after yourself. And if you don't actually get time to do that, then that's going to start going against the grain, and it doesn't really matter how much you get paid. You may actually start looking for other opportunities that do allow you to do that sort of thing. So
Mm.
so yeah, it's really important to make sure that everybody's personal values are being met, and
Mm.
that's in alignment with their goals as well.
Mm.
So yeah, they can achieve goals and feel better about the workplace that they work within. So
Yeah. And well, and I think you've mentioned too before, even something like take the exercising every day, that it's also, even if that's the only thing that you focus on and not something work related, it's creating a different mindset for you that then you can transfer that to other things in your work life too that you might not have thought of having that kind of mindset for before.
yeah, using that model, and it's
Hmm.
a practice that what I've really sort of been taught to do. But by my coach is really focus on the outcome first. It's very simple to dive into a project and start doing things.
Mm.
Whereas actually, if you look at what is the vision, what's the outcome of what this project is going to be, and work backwards. And
Mm.
if fitness is your personal goal, then yeah, of course that becomes your vision. You're creating a smart goal around what the weight loss is going to look like and by when,
Mm.
and so on. But then you implement, well, how am I actually going to get there on this journey?
Mm.
And it's that part that can be applied to anything. And as I mentioned actually yesterday on a call, was when you do set a goal, there is an aspect of thinking, well, I'm not there yet, so
Mm.
therefore I'm not good enough right now. So
Mm.
if I'm overweight, that you're going to be thinking, yeah, my aim is to not be overweight, but right now I am. So you have that sort of, I guess, negative viewpoint on where you
Mm.
currently are.
Mm.
Whereas the work that we've been doing is really sort of focusing on setting that goal, but checking in on a daily basis. And Viva Goals enables you to check in periodically as well. It might be on your employee development meetings, or it might be that you do it yourself on a daily basis or something like that. But the important thing is to enjoy the journey on getting there. So, it doesn't matter if you're uh, 30 pounds overweight, and your goal is to be 30 pounds lighter, and you're seeing yourself as being overweight until you get there.
Mm.
There is actually fun and enjoyment and a great feeling to be had of thinking, wow, I'm losing 2 pounds every week,
Mm.
and enjoying that journey. So
Mm.
almost you've got like a weekly goal.
Mhm.
And that's the thing that could be applied about anything. We always feel better when we do take that action on something. It might be that you want to redo your company website or something like that. It's at the back of your mind, you're not doing anything about it. But
Mm.
as soon
Mm.
as you do open up the can, if you like, and start making changes, it's great. I'm doing it, and
Mm.
that's the same thing with the weight loss goal, or whatever
Mm.
goal you're working on.
Mm.
So yeah, taking that first step
Mhm.
is the hardest part. So
Mm. You mentioned SMART goals before. What do you
mhm.
mean?
Yeah, so well, an easy way to explain this is to give an example of a non-smart goal first of all. So a non-smart goal might be, yeah, I want to lose weight.
Mm.
And that becoming a goal. And if that's your goal, it's unlikely to materialize because it's kind of like a wish or an intent. It's not
Right.
actually a goal. So
That's pretty big.
yeah, it is. And yeah, but that's how a lot of people would think. That it's like I'm trying to lose weight, but they've not actually set something that is measurable, something that is specific,
Mm.
and time based, and that's what the SMART goal is. So the
Mm.
S is, yeah, it's specific.
Mm.
So it's not just a case of I am going to lose weight, or I'm going to better the sales revenue for my company, or I'm going to grow next year. It's exactly what are you going to achieve. So it might
Mm.
be I am going to grow the company by 20% in terms of revenue next year, or
Mm.
yeah, I'm going to lose 28 pounds in weight.
Mm.
So they are specific. The measurable aspect is, of course, with the sales revenue, you can measure it. You can
Mm.
measure it on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, and check whether you are actually growing at that 20% rate. And likewise, weighing in on the scales every day, seeing whether it's achievable. So, of course, there's nothing more disheartening than setting a goal and then not getting anywhere near achieving it. But at the same time, we don't want this to just be something that's a to-do list item. You know, we don't want to say, oh yeah, we'll I don't know, fix up the website or something like that, and just find that, yeah, within a day I've done it, and that's kind of like my normal routine anyway. So it's got to be something that's going to be a stretch to what you would normally do. So but it has got to be, yeah, realistic. It's got to be achievable. So that's the A in SMART. It's got to be relevant, and that's key. So if I set you a goal as a manager, and it's not in line with your values, it's not in line with the company values, you're not going to be interested in doing it, and you're going to show up and make excuses and so on. Whereas if it is in alignment with, yeah, mission with inside the company, or a vision inside the company, or even, yeah, your own personal values, and you're going to get a benefit from it, then yeah, it's more likely going to be achieved. And the time-based or time-bound is, yeah, you set a date where it's going to be accomplished by. So, you know, of course, like I say, I'm going to lose 28 pounds and be specific about that. But if I don't say when, then it's always going to be put off. But yeah, if you set a date for it, then it will be achieved by that date. And that's what your commitment is. So yeah, you can apply that to Viva Goals, and that's something that we're working on.
Yeah, and we can help people through NLightning with coaching on doing that sort of setup.
Yeah, definitely. And really, what we bring to the table there is not just how to use Viva Goals. There's a lot of background knowledge of actually running a company and having employees for the past 15 years in NLightning tools and in NLightning as well. That, you know, we are coaching people every day in our careers, and that is a big skill set that, you know, I've learned over the time through my personal growth commitment, and also having commitment with my own business coach, and groups I'm within, yeah, really sort of bringing that to any organization, any individual, to get the best out of Viva Goals and the rest of the Viva suite too.
Awesome.
Yeah, great. So fantastic. So I believe there was some updates at Ignite and so on.
Lots of them.
Yeah, so I must admit I was away on vacation, so I've not yet had the chance to catch up on some of the videos. But yeah, what did you get from
actually either, because I was at the conference in Branson, Missouri, at the North American Collaboration Summit during Ignite. And although they were showing some of the Ignite sessions, like you could do, they were having sort of watch parties right there at the conference. I didn't do that because I was at the Lightning Tools booth, but but a couple of the things that really caught my eye, because I'm so interested, especially in Power Automate. That's, I guess, of all of the Power Platform, that's the one that I've worked the most in. And there are some cool new features that were announced at Ignite and that are actually already here. A lot of times the announcements at Ignite are something to look forward to, I guess, that they'll be out someday. But these ones are actually here now. And so I wanted to just take a really quick look at those, and those are two new kind of artificial intelligence enhancements to Power Automate that Microsoft is working on, trying to make things easier for your average person to create Power Automate flows. And although it is pretty easy to begin with, there has been a lot of feedback that it doesn't take too much before you don't know what you're doing, and you get into where you do actually have to write expressions, and you have to search for guidance on doing that. And of course, you know, we're here to help with that too. But Microsoft really is trying to make things easier for someone just new to the platform. So one of those ways, there are articles about this that I'll post links to in the notes to this chat. But one of the ways is that you can just describe with words what you want your flow to do to a certain extent, and then it'll create a flow for you, and then you can go in and just do your modifications. Um, and another way is that having to do with formatting, especially formatting dates and numbers, which has been problematic for people. There's a new feature where you can give it a pattern, basically, of what you want to format, and then Power Automate will create the expression that does that formatting for you, so you don't have to figure it out yourself.
Cool.
So I thought I'd just show those really quick, if that's
Yeah,
all
that
right.
sounds great.
So this is the main article about the new ways to innovate with AI and Power Automate. So again, I'll put a link to this, but the first one is where they're calling it describe it and let AI build it. Like that's actually literally what they've called it. And that is create a flow from a description, is what was in the documentation. But if we look at actually go into Power Automate, and if we're on the Power Automate homepage, which I think Microsoft they keep on revising this homepage too, to try to make things easier for people to just get started quickly. So that also exists. But for this new feature, if you go to create, you'll see that there's an additional option added, which is you describe it, AI builds it. I don't know if they'll come up with a shorter name for that maybe, but in addition to your standard automated and instant and scheduled cloud flows, and then there's the desktop flows, which is using Power Automate Desktop, and then the process advisor, which also uses AI, but get that's beyond the scope of this session, so to speak, because that gets into a lot of detail about the idea behind that is taking some of your actual processes and helping you determine whether you can make them more efficient with Power Automate. But that would be a good topic for detailed discussion sometime. But we'll just look at this you describe it one. And so it takes you to this screen where you can just describe your flow in everyday words. Now, it is limited currently to, if you read the instructions, I think, yeah, it works best with Microsoft 365 apps and Microsoft Teams. I think meaning really it works with, like I think it only works with those probably.
Yeah.
But they give some examples, and you can generate new examples, and it gives you like another little list. But some things that we could do, or well, any of these things that they say. So like I could just choose one of those. Every month I want to copy all files. Boy, I don't know why I would want to do that from one OneDrive folder to another one, but then it suggests the flow. So I'm gonna just refresh that because I want to do my own thing. I guess I probably didn't have to do that. Let's say I want to say like, oops, when I receive an Outlook email, because I found if I just put email, then it thinks Gmail. I'm not sure why. When I receive an Outlook email from Brett, send me an alert.
Oh, I thought you're going to put it in the trash then.
And so if I hit enter, then it gives me some suggestions. I'm not sure what the difference is between those suggestions, but that it looks like what I want to do. So I just click on that and then hit next at the bottom. And it looks at the connections that are needed to do that thing and makes sure that they're valid. So I've got an Outlook connection, and notifications is a built-in Power Automate connection, and I'm connected to that. And next. And this is if there are some settings that need set. So I can say, here's an important email. So in some cases, like I've looked at the ones where you want to post a message into Teams, and so it prompts you for the name of or how you want to post it, like as the flow bot or as a user or in a chat. And then if it's, for example, as the flow bot, then you choose which Teams Teams team you want to post it in, which channel, and what you want it to say. So you depending on what you've chosen as your flow, then you get different prompts here to fill out the settings and then create the flow. Sometimes I've noticed, I mean, I've just used this a little bit so far, but I've noticed that sometimes that takes a moment for that settings screen to come up. So if you don't see any settings right away, just hang on because there probably are some that you need to set. And so it made me this little flow, and I can then modify it if I needed to. So by default, I don't know that it's not putting my condition in there that it needs to come from Brett, so I'd have to really do that myself. So it's still learning, I think. I mean, there's a send feedback button there, but the basic idea is there. So if you know what you would like to do and you really don't know which triggers and actions and so on and will accomplish that for you, then I think this makes a good starting point.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And to look at the formatting, we'll just take this example. So in my mobile notification action, it took the text that I told it, here's an important email, but let's say I wanted to just add the date that the email was sent. Now, I really don't need to in this case because it would just be the date that arrived. But to give an example, I can go to the expression builder here. So I could just use the dynamic content and search for date, the received time, but that'll come through with like the whole kind of +000 and things like that at the end. It's like a date time string. And if you want that formatted in a more user-friendly way, then you can go to expressions, and now you can use format data by examples. And so when I click on that, it wants to know, so what data would I like to format? And I do want to format that received time. And so then it's asking for an example of how that would come into the flow. So you kind of have to know what that looks like. So for example, if I had run that flow that I just created and it sent me an email and it had just the standard date timestamp, so I would have that example then. Here I've put that in a notepad. So this is what, well, I don't think I'm sharing that. This is what the date timestamp comes through looking like from
Mm-hmm.
Outlook. And if I want it to be more user-friendly, I click in the desired output and it gives me some examples. So let's say I want the actual month, day, year in American. Then I can say get expression, and it comes up with this expression, which I don't know that I would have necessarily by myself, especially not if I'm a new user. And I can then just either copy that to the clipboard and paste it, or I can just say apply, and it will apply that suggested expression. And so there I have the expression right in my action, and it'll come through formatted the way I wanted it. And that's been a stumbling point for a lot of new people to Power Automate, getting to format things. And because, looking at that expression, it isn't necessarily intuitive, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you have to do. But
Yeah.
so I think both of these are really nice steps in the right direction for Power
Cool.
Automate.
Absolutely. I can see how, yeah, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
make it a lot easier for people to be able to work with. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. That's great to see. Thank you, Sandy.
Sure.
And I guess again, something that we can help with coaching
Mm-hmm.
on and
Great.
have
Yes,
done lots
exactly.
with. So
Yep. Yep.
good stuff. Wonderful. So is there anything coming up that within the industry that you know of that people should be aware of?
um,
Events
right.
or anything?
Yeah, I just saw an announcement today about the European Power Platform Conference going to be in Dublin now I don't remember if I noticed when, sometime next year, but
So no, nobody needs an excuse to go to Dublin, that's for sure.
right. um, so that would be a good one. There are collab days events happening all over the place still, and they often involve a lot of Power Platform. I was just learning about the one coming up in Poland that's going to be in May, and the organizers are saying it's going to be a heavy emphasis on Power Platform at that one. So yeah, just watch. I guess the Collab Days website would be a good one to go to,
Yeah,
because it would,
collabdays.org.
yeah, it would show all of the upcoming ones, including the actual Collab Summit in Germany in May too.
Fantastic, and we will be there.
Yes.
And I know that there's also Thrive in Slovenia. If you are
Right.
looking at
Yeah.
Europe, I think that's going to be around about the same time. So
Yes, it's just
perhaps you might be
after.
able to
Yep.
yeah, do both.
Yep. That's my
Fantastic.
personal plan.